Buenos días.
¿Quieres cuidar?
¿Dónde está grabando?
At least he didn't drop the camera.
Tira la cámara y coge las películas.
Buena idea, Cristian. Agarra la cámara, ni importa los videos.
Se le cae la cámara y hacemos los videos.
Ok, Jesse, usted y yo vamos juntos hoy. Ok. No, disculpe. Está con Juan y Cristian y Gustavo y yo. So
Okay.
we'll switch up later, but vas a estar con él.
Okay.
¿Está bien?
Está
Pero
bien.
hoy Cristian va
Muy
con
bien,
ustedes.
muy bien.
So. Ok. ¿Agua?
Pass the
¿Alguien
book.
quiere agua?
Here, I'm gonna. Juan has a bunch in his backpack, so.
A veces hace, este es un para Cristian, pues.
Es un nombre muy preparado. Me gusta. Buenos días.
Jesse, ¿estás listo?
Listo.
Familia Freedom, ¿están listos hoy?
Estamos listos.
Niños, ¿cómo están?
Ya.
Ayer
En la aquí es la calle.
Yeah, estamos ahí. No, estamos ahí.
Ya.
En este negro línea, Juan y yo, hasta como ¿cuántas horas? Para dos horas,
dos horas y media.
2 horas y media, porque hablamos a muchas personas y salvamos 3 personas, 2 en español y 1 en inglés por mí, porque él habla más mejor inglés que español.
Onza. Las onzas.
¿Buen español? Hasta que el sol se baja, ¿ok? Alright, entonces vamos a orar para pedir que Dios nos bendiga en nuestro trabajo hoy, ¿ok? Vamos a orar. Señor, gracias por este día, gracias por este equipo que está aquí. Ayúdanos a encontrar la gente que quieren oír, que quieren creer en la verdad. Ayúdanos a recordar nuestros versículos y el evangelio que tenemos en nuestros corazones. Y Señor, bendíganos, protégenos y por supuesto todo lo que pasa, vamos a dar la gloria a usted. En el nombre de Jesucristo oremos. Amén.
Amén. Día y media.
Sí.
Hay nadie aquí, ¿no?
No, parece que siempre están vacías las casas, ¿verdad?
El mexicano Bill Gates vive aquí. No sé qué es una garaje o...
Los dos.
Creo que es un garaje. ¿Estás cristiano? ¿Eres cristiano? Nada. Ok. Pero más importante, no, es porque para ti vengo a ver. Ok.
No quiero. Bueno, los otros vienen cada 6 meses, vas a venir otra vez. Pero ya vas a terminar aquí, vas a ir a... Él pregunta aquí. Sabe que tu corazón está muy duro,
Las personas aquí tienen mucha humildad y un mayor de católica, un abuelo, escucha todo el evangelio y no puedo decir muchas palabras o mi español no es muy bien, pero yo predico con mucha emoción y usa mis manos y acciones para tener por su atención. Entonces, lo sé si ellos entender el evangelio en el poder es en la Biblia. Es muy emocionado para hablar con la gente quien no necesita ¿cómo se dice? Fight.
Pelear.
Para escuchar, pero quieren escuchar. Es más fácil para predicar quien ellos quieren escuchar. Sí, entonces, es emocionado. Y mi esposa también, a mirar ella predicar, estoy muy feliz. Es perfecto.
Muy bien.
Gracias a Dios.
Perfecto. Sí, ¿ustedes?
Salomos como 7.
¿En el día?
7.
¿O ya?
6 o 7.
Hermano Chad y yo.
Wow.
7.
Wow.
Muy receptivo.
Era una tarde muy...
Wow. Mejor
éxito.
porque la gente está regresa en la casa, posible. Ya.
¿Sabes después?
Y muchos de nosotros eran jóvenes.
¿Oh, ya?
Y ellos tienen tiempo.
Sí.
¿De verdad? Ok,
no.
posiblemente. Pero los jóvenes en que Jesse y yo estábamos hablando, predicando, eran en el rincón, allá en enfrente,
Oh, ya.
al camino. Y eran 13, tiene 13 y 14 años.
Sí.
Y no tienen cosas a hacer, entonces estábamos en sillas y podemos sentarnos
El
y
chico,
hablar
el chico fue a trabajar por su padre.
Wow.
Para no dinero.
Oh.
Tenía 14 años,
Wow.
pero enfrente de la tienda.
Wow.
Su trabajo era sentar y mirar la tienda.
Oh, ya.
Entonces, literalmente
es su trabajo.
podemos sentar al lado de él mientras él está mirando. Vigilando, sí, el watchman. Entonces, pero él entendió bien
Wow.
y recibió a Jesucristo.
Y un
como su
mayor
Salvador.
hombre,
Creyó.
como Dios minutos, ¿cómo se dice? Afuera.
Después,
15 minutos antes de ahora.
okay.
Hablamos por un hombre mayor, hermano Chad, predicar la palabra, y fue Bautista.
Oh, ya.
Bautista, pero no fue salvo.
No fue salvo.
Y hermano Chad predicar la palabra muy claro y fue muy receptiva.
Oh,
Y
muy bien.
Entiende mucha de la Biblia. Puede decir
Oh, sí.
versículos de los romanos. Pero cuando preguntó sobre la vida eterna, él no estaba seguro. Estaba pensando
¿Qué está diciendo?
que va a perder su salvación. Pero después de estudiando Efesios 2, Y Romanos 6, que es vida eterna, que Dios da. ¿Entendió? Sí, está bien listo. Como tus sirvientes, tus siervos, a ir y evangelizar para compartir el evangelio con la gente aquí en IMURIS. Señor, llénanos con el Espíritu Santo y úsanos como nosotros explicamos la Biblia a la gente. Entonces, ayúdanos a encontrar a la gente que quieren oír y muévanos cuando hay personas que no quieren oír. Entonces, todo lo que pasa, por supuesto, vamos a dar la gloria a usted. Protégenos y ayúdanos, Señor, en el nombre de Jesucristo. Amén. Amén.
¿Qué le hiciste a la ventana, yo?
Estamos acá arreglando la ventana porque ayer en el camino parece que se rompió el regulador, entonces la ventana se bajó y ahora la estamos arreglando, pero venimos bien preparados con el hermano Juan y teníamos cinta negra, cartón, un par de buenas navajas y con eso se puede arreglar todo, ¿no? Sí.
Chad, ¿cómo les fue hoy?
Hoy, hoy era un día con mucho éxito.
Emocional.
Sí, muy emocionante porque claramente eran gente aquí en IMURIS que simplemente ellos estaban esperando a alguien a venir para explicar el evangelio porque ellos tienen corazones de creer la palabra de Dios. Sí. Yo pienso en dos jóvenes, también en un hombre que dice que sí, yo asisto a la iglesia Bautista allá, pero cuando hablaba con él no estaba seguro de ninguna forma que él va al cielo cuando muera, pero por supuesto después de pasando por el evangelio, por los versículos, él creyó con gozo. Bueno. Entonces cuando salí, estaba diciendo, Rodolfo, ¿puedes perder tu salvación? Y él me di cuenta que él me miró y dice, no puedo, es imposible porque es eterna. Sí. Entonces, cosas como así todo el día que son bendiciones de Dios para ayudarnos a entender que Dios está con nosotros. Dios siempre bendice su palabra. Es como vaya con Dios.
Esa manera que Él trabaja.
Exactamente.
Las promesas.
Las promesas. Sí.
Morgan here from Faithful Word Baptist Church, and I'm here today with my friend Jesse McPhail, and
We just want to share a little bit with you from Jesse's experience. This is his first time to Mexico. That's right. Okay, and so his first time to Mexico is here in the town of IMURIS, Mexico. So we're going to ask him just 2 questions today and let him share his heart on the matter. And hopefully that'll be an encouragement to those of you who are studying the Spanish language, where you have interest in that. You kind of wondered, hey, you know, is this something I could do? You know, maybe you already are bilingual, but you're not a soul winner. Or maybe you're only a soul winner as an English speaker, but yet you speak Spanish or another language. And you've thought about, hey, you know, I need to brush up on those skills and start obeying the Lord with that language, you know, use that skill. So I'm going to just ask Jesse a couple of questions and let him share, and hopefully it'll be a help to those who are thinking about this. So Jesse, first question is, just share with us or tell us, however you wish, how the Lord kind of brought you to a point where you decided, hey, you know, Faithful Word, Pastor Anderson has planned this trip back to IMURIS, Mexico. I want to go. I want to get my Spanish solid enough that I can give a clear gospel presentation in Spanish so that I can go with the group to Mexico.
Well, I've been learning quote-unquote Spanish for about 3 years, where it's been off and on and off and on. I do it for a month, and I don't do it for a few months, and I do it for a couple months, and I don't do it for a few months. So my Spanish learning is kind of haphazard. I guess I'm a good testimony that even if it takes you many years, you can still come to the point where you can get people saved. And it was until this trip that I actually got people saved. This was my first time getting someone saved in Spanish. Of course, in English, I had other people. But the thing that made me really want to go to Mexico was my brother John. He would come back with the reports of how receptive it is and how exciting it is to go, and just the great benefit you get by going to Mexico. He didn't explain it very much well. I think it's best to come and see, as Jesus said to the 2. He said, "Come and see." Or again, there's a man, I think he says, "Come and see my zeal for the Lord."
Doesn't the scripture say, "My eye hath affected my heart"? Right?
Yes, in the Lamentations, "And I affected my heart." So what you see makes a change to you. But really, the reason why I wanted to go to Mexico was because I continually kept saying, tomorrow, tomorrow, tomorrow. I kept pushing off my Spanish learning. It's easy not to read in Spanish, but to read in English in America. However, I knew that if I went to Mexico, I'd be forced to, you know, preach the gospel. I'd be forced to read in Spanish. I'd be forced to talk and listen in Spanish. So I studied and studied for a few months, and then I just had no understanding of when am I going to finally get someone saved, because it's very difficult to go through an entire gospel presentation and to wrap up, to begin to wrap up. It takes a level of difficulty. So what I ended up doing was I decided I'll go to Mexico, because this will be that motivation both to learn, and it'll also be a help in doing that. And really the reason behind this was what's in el libro dice in Efesios 5, redeeming the time because the days are evil. So I'd given in my mind much time to Spanish. I'd given years even to Spanish, but I didn't have any fruit yet in Spanish. And so it worried me that I didn't have any fruit in Spanish. I wanted results. So that's why I wanted to come to Mexico, and exactly that's what happened.
That's great, Jesse. And that makes sense. You know, as a soul winner,
many people, when they're learning a language, they just learn it to go talk in a bar.
Yeah. At the end of the day, it's a selfish motivation.
Yeah.
But obviously, for the soul winner, you want to learn the language so you can do the gospel.
Exactly.
Great. And if you would, just springboard or just jump right into the next thought, and that's this. Now that you've done soul winning in Phoenix and perhaps other places like the Indian reservations in Arizona, and I don't know of all the places you've been, but I know you've done a lot of soul winning. So now that you have that comparison with what happened here, your experience for the past 2 or 3 days here at IMURIS, just share with us your thoughts about the reception, how open people are to the gospel or not.
It's different culturally and linguistically, but when I've gone to other places of the world, like in Africa or in Jamaica, sometimes there's what I would call a gospel shock, where you get there and they don't understand the same analogies you use, or they don't understand certain words you're using, so you have to change what you say. I didn't experience that here. It was just a linguistic difference. So English to Spanish is almost the same. But there was kind of a culture shock when I came because, of course, the ideas we have in Mexico or anywhere else in the world are often different than what they actually are. So there was that cultural difference. But the real difference was as soon as we get in the car to go to Mexico, everything is in Spanish. Now, I sometimes speak Spanish with my brother, but oftentimes I revert back to English instead of, but he won't even speak to me in English on the trip. So it's a necessity to use Spanish here, so therefore you do when you have to, right? And my thought was that coming to Mexico is not so much the time where you learn how to speak Spanish, because if you come to Mexico and you don't know any Spanish, you're only going to pick up a few things here and there. But coming to Mexico is more like a test. It's the fire that you're put through that gives you knowledge of what do you know about Spanish.
Or what you need to work on.
What you need to work. That's really the big benefit I had to coming to Mexico is not only was I able to get my first salvation in Spanish, but also I have a direction of what I can now learn to complete being able to give the gospel, and then hopefully from then on just going on to fluency. I think that's the two stages of the language: is gospel fluency and then linguistic fluency to know the whole language. The one takes probably months or years, the other one probably decades. Who knows?
Those are great thoughts. Jesse, appreciate you taking the time to do this for us and to share with others what God's done in your life here at IMURIS, Mexico. So appreciate it. We're with Brother Jesse Clark. Earlier we had Jesse McPhail and asking a few questions, and now this is Jesse Clark, Faithful Word Baptist, and we're just going to ask him those same questions and get his thoughts on his experience here, soul winning in Mexico. So Jesse, like I mentioned, just share with us what God did, or the circumstances, maybe the moment when you realized, hey, I want to get my Spanish to a point where I can clearly give the gospel, because I want to go on the mission trip to Mexico. Because, obviously, the pastor's requirement is you got to speak Spanish. Right. We don't use English down here. All the soul is in Spanish. When we get to the border, at least, we cut out the English in the car, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So that can be a real trial for a person who's learning Spanish,
Absolutely.
or who has learned it to a degree. And, it's kind
of a lot of work. When you're trying to learn a new language, it's a lot of work to get to that point to where you can give the gospel in Spanish in another language, to where you're comfortable and you can present the gospel clearly. For me, I was already giving the gospel in Spanish.
in Phoenix, right?
Yeah, in Phoenix. I was already giving the gospel in Spanish. I've been giving the gospel in Spanish probably for around 2 years, 2 to 3 years. I've been going to Faithful Word for about 4 years. And then shortly after I started attending Faithful Word, I started to give the gospel in Spanish. Not that I learned it all at that time. I already had a foundation of learning Spanish. I took 4 years of Spanish in high school. So I already had a foundation. It was just getting out there and learning the verses in Spanish and learning how to present the gospel clearly in another language. So for me, when I heard about the trips that were happening and that the church was going to IMURIS and Hermosillo for a missions trip to preach the gospel, I was excited about it. And I wanted to go. For me, it was just a matter of taking the time off work and just doing it. I knew that I could give the gospel in Spanish because I had been doing it already.
You cannot organize all this.
Yeah,
just make it happen.
Just organizing everything, taking the time off of work, and sometimes just the carnal side of you doesn't want to miss that paycheck that you get from work. But it's really worth it in the end when you go to preach the gospel. You're never going to regret it.
So you gave up that paycheck in exchange for some souls, literally.
Yeah, absolutely. To gain some rewards in heaven rather than getting that paycheck right away on earth.
So basically, for a long time, you wanted to come. And for you, maybe I could say it was just a point of, it was just a matter of getting to the point where you decide, my gospel presentation in Spanish is solid enough now. I can communicate with a Spanish speaker.
Yeah, it wasn't that. It wasn't that I had to get to a point where I could give the gospel in Spanish.
Okay.
it's just a leap of faith. Just taking that time off and committing yourself to spending 3 days away from home to come down here and give the gospel. But I think what encouraged me most is when I heard stories when Pastor Anderson told about the trip when he came back, when I talked to other people and they had a great time. I saw the pictures, and then that motivated me to go. Just seeing the fellowship and knowing that the whole time, once you leave the church, everybody's speaking Spanish the whole time. So for me to be in that total immersion, you can't substitute that. You can't. Duolingo can only do so much, and Rosetta Stone and other programs can only do so much. But there's no substitute for total immersion. So
It's a real key tool, isn't it?
it's a really key tool, and that was appealing to me about this trip, and that's one of the main reasons that I wanted to go. Yes, I wanted to give the gospel and preach the gospel and see people saved, but speaking the language for 2 or 3 days nonstop, I was really looking forward to that, and I knew it would help my Spanish just as a whole.
Great. And then, Jesse, let me ask you this. Now that you've been here, so this is day number 3, we're getting ready to go home. We thank God for what He's done. We thank God for the people that have gotten saved. And, you know, our hearts are full, right? You know, we're rejoicing because the gospel is powerful. Thank God we just decided to obey, right? So make a comparison for us and for those who would watch this video. You've done soul winning for a long time now. You've been in other places like Phoenix and Indian reservations, etc. Compare some of your other experiences, your past experiences as a soul winner, with what you experienced here in Mexico and the reception here. So.
Yeah, I would say it's at least as receptive as, say, Maryvale in Phoenix, West Phoenix, and I would say it's more receptive than that. Most everybody that you talk to, they'll at least let you give them some verses if they don't have time to hear. If they're on their way out of the house, they're polite enough to listen to what you have to say. Most people, if they have the time, they'll let you go through the whole plan of salvation, and so it's very receptive.
Great. Hey, we appreciate you. Appreciate your thoughts. I'm glad you decided to come. Thanks for plugging for that thought there. I really didn't think about that. It's true for some people that are bilingual, or let's say they have learned the language very well. They're conversing, they're conversational. They can communicate with Spanish speakers. I never really thought about how it is a distinct decision, you know, for them to say, I'm going to take, you know, several days off of work. If you're married, you got a spouse that's watching the kids while you're gone. You know, if you're single and you had other plans for that weekend, you just got to, you know, put those on the back burner and make this trip a priority.
Absolutely.
You know, and then probably in the meantime, you're rehearsing a lot of Spanish vocab, and you're reviewing your Spanish gospel, you're reading your Bible in Spanish, you know, so that you can kind of heat yourself up, right, to get ready.
Yeah, you're getting prepared, doing everything that you can do.
And so there's I don't know if I call them sacrifices, but there's decisions you have to make, and then just do it, you know?
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
Appreciate you bringing that out.
Okay, thank you.
Jesse, thank you.
Thank you.
Doing the interview.
¿Puedes cobrar?
In Spanish, working on the Spanish language, but now it's like you said, secret Spanish. Second thing I remember you sharing is that, you know, it's a no-brainer for you. You want to keep your Spanish high, right? Yeah. So how do you keep that skill up? You use it, right? Yeah. So, and then lastly, I think it's interesting that it's very practical value for you to not only come here to preach the gospel, but you know, going back home. Houston, there's probably tens of thousands of Spanish speakers that eventually you or your people are going to run into. Right? You want to be able to get them across.
You know, I mean, those are the main reasons. So even if I were to go to a place and it wasn't that receptive, I would still do it for those reasons. But then it's just added bonus that when you come here, you get the great tacos, and it's just so receptive. I mean, there's more people here that will listen to the gospel than in the United States, you know, by and large. I would say almost twice as many people want to listen to the gospel. And, you know, I would say more people get saved whenever you're able to give them the gospel here. And so there's just something, you know, the Bible says in 1 Corinthians 14 that tongues are for a sign, not for them that believe, but for them that don't believe. And so when someone comes to their nation that doesn't speak their language, it's obvious I don't speak Spanish. Like people look at me, they're probably surprised that maybe I can speak anything. And so when I'm able to give them the gospel, they want to hear, they want to listen, they're interested in the gospel, they're interested in why someone would want to learn Spanish and then try to give them this gospel because they say, hey, this must be important.
It's like a tool God uses to hold their attention. Hey, this guy's not super clear sometimes. They can understand you, but they have to kind of work to make sure they're understanding you.
They have to work really hard.
Right. But I just want to be clear. It's not that they can't understand you. We don't want to encourage people to come to Mexico who can't really speak Spanish and they're confusing people. But it's a tool for the Spanish speaker. The Lord uses that as a tool to help the Spanish speaker say, man, this guy really has something he wants to tell me. And so they're willing to kind of hang on, right? And listen to you a little more carefully. I noticed that today, Jesse. I remember that young lady. I mean, we stood there for a good 20 minutes as you gave the gospel. But she kept her eyes on Brother Jesse. She wanted to hear. And so I agree with you. I think it is, the Lord uses that. You gave the scripture there from Acts that helps us. And so it's highly receptive, right? You got a lot of people that want to hear the truth.
Yeah, it's very receptive. It's nothing like going to, just a neighborhood in the United States where most people are hardened to the gospel. A lot of people don't want to hear. They're used to, having all these Mormons knocking on their door. I haven't seen a Mormon since I've been here, and that's been great. So, it's people are real receptive, and I think it's probably true about anywhere in Mexico. And a lot of these foreign mission trips that people are going on, I think it's super important for people to learn, how to give the gospel, and not just their language, but even others potentially. And especially if you already have that gift.
Agreed. Yeah. So there's a higher level of accountability. If you have that skill, you're not using it.
You're just burying it in the ground.
Shame on you. You're wasting the talent. So let's get started. I mean, you can. I'm going to spring it on you. I didn't say I was going to ask you this question, but I think he's a good candidate to answer this. And that is, maybe you've thought about it. If you haven't, no problem. Don't feel bad to say no, I'm not sure. But now that you've been down here twice, what do you think is at least one big contributing factor to the phenomenon we see that here's a town where people are just willing to hear the word of God gladly? What do you think has contributed to that here in Imuri?
Like, are you asking me why do you think this specific town is really receptive?
Yeah, why? What have you noticed? What, in your opinion, is maybe something has caused that? I know I have my theories. I'm just kind of curious what.
Well, I mean, the Bible makes it clear that those that are, have less opportunity as far as maybe they're more, humble in the fact that they don't have a lot of money. So that's why you see the poor are more receptive than the rich. I think that's probably one of the most single greatest factors. Obviously, people as just being a humble people and hardworking, that's going to be, a receptive group that wants to hear the truth, that wants to hear the gospel. I think that's why you see a lot of Americans hardened to the gospel because they have all their needs met. They don't need Jesus. They don't need anything. And so that's definitely a contributing factor. But I mean, when you read the book of Acts, like, it doesn't matter why people were receptive. They're just going out, planting seed, throwing seed, and they're just saying, hey, this area is really receptive. Let's focus on this area. And we see, the apostles, they couldn't get it. They're like, let's just keep going to the Jews. Let's just keep going to the Jews. And it's like, well, at the end of Acts, it concludes with, hey, the Gentiles, they will hear the gospel.
So let's finish with this. On that thought right there, wouldn't you say that's a tenet of the new IFB in the churches that are like-minded? That as far as a practical matter in our soul winning is, we're going to go find the receptive areas and we're going to invest time in them.
Of course.
We're just going to do that. We're not going to keep beating our head against the wall if we got areas where the people just don't want to hear.
Common sense missions. If the laborers are few, why not put the labor in a really productive area where they can just constantly get soul after soul after soul? Don't go to Siberia where you can't get anybody saved. Go find a place where you can reach a lot of people with the gospel. And I'd even encourage people, you say, well, okay, if we're just all about productivity, then I'm going to stick to my native language. But the reality is, I'm still able to get more people saved here, learning a foreign language and not being the best speaker, just because it's that receptive. So learning a language where there's a lot of people that are receptive, is a great tool to just get a lot of people saved, stir up people for the gospel, try and encourage others to see, hey, I should use my skill. There's a lot of people that live in Houston that speak both English and Spanish. Someone's got to encourage these people. You need to go out there and preach the gospel. You're an important tool that God wants to use. And here's the thing. A lot of people that are bilingual, they might look at themselves and say, I don't have, all these extra gifts or talents. They might not raised in a rich family, because they were just, migrants into America, right? But now they have the ability to preach the gospel both in English and Spanish. They're actually more valuable than a lot of people that were born rich that don't have that gift.
Agreed.
So when you look at it from a spiritual perspective, the gifts and callings of God, are not to the wise and rich. It's, to those that are willing servants.
So let's not bury our talent. We don't want to be an unprofitable servant. We want to be faithful. We want to be found faithful, and we want to lay up treasure in heaven. So, Pastor Shelley, thanks for doing the interview.
Yeah.
Appreciate you doing that.
Great to see you again.
Same here.
Great to speak in English.
Tan profesionales.
It's starting to kick in.
And I am with Pastor Enrique Reyes, and he is from Houston, Texas. He's definitely a friend of Pastor Jonathan Shelley, independent Baptist man here, and he came with us this year to IMURIS, Mexico. So we're going to get his take on the trip, and I'm excited to hear what he has to say. So, Pastor Reyes, my first question would be, just tell us or share with us a little bit about how God brought you to the point, or just organized the circumstances so you decided, hey, I want to go on that trip. This is what I want to do. Just share with us how God brought that about.
Absolutely. Well, actually, the way that it worked out is, Pastor Jonathan Shelley's actually been building up to go and start his church in Houston, Texas. And I was really excited to have another like-minded brother be in the area. And so one of the things that happens is, obviously, if you know of something, it's like when you're going to go buy a car, you start seeing that same car everywhere. So it's kind of like when he started his church, I'd go online, I'd listen to his Facebook Live after, my service was over, and I'd just catch either the beginning or the end of his sermons, just wanting to learn from what they're doing. Because one of the things that I've noticed from Pastor Stephen Anderson, Faithful Word, is that they train their people really well to do the right thing, to be not just open to churches, so we have people to actually go out there and do the work of the Lord, to go soul winning, and to really preach the Word of God from behind the pulpit. So anyways, long story short, I was just watching on Facebook, and I overheard him say that there was a missionary trip to IMURIS, Mexico, and I sent him a text. I know he's busy, so it took him a couple of days to get back to me, but he sent me his itinerary, and I just bought my tickets and decided that I was coming along. And then I reached out to Faithful Word afterwards, and they set it all up, and now I'm here.
Now, I want to be clear. Pastor Reyes habla los dos, español y inglés. He's bilingual. He speaks English and Spanish. So for him, this was kind of a no-brainer. He had a brother in the Lord, a fellow pastor, and I want to use the word that he used, and that is like-minded. And he just got connected. He just overheard the plans via Pastor Anderson and Faithful Word, or that.
No, actually via his video.
Okay,
via Pastor Shelley.
So it's from Pastor Shelley's video explaining that we were going to go on another trip.
Yeah, and that he was going, and he actually, just so you know, one of the things that's really encouraging is, you go to a lot of churches, and one of the things that, hear all these sermons about pastors that sell, and they make merchandise of man and all the gospel, and, not only did Faithful Word pay for everything, and that should encourage you, because I was actually not looking forward to that. I was just going to do it. I wanted to do it so bad that I was going to put it out of my pocket. So it's been a blessing, but number two is that the like-minded churches do the same thing. He actually offered it to his church members that they could come out here, that the church would take care of all that. So basically, he removed all excuses for not, ¿qué excusa tienen por no estar aquí?
How can I not go?
Absolutely.
Yeah, if I have the time allotted.
Yeah.
I know some men have to get off work. In your case, you're a pastor, so it probably is a little easier to move some schedule around, right? And then just say, hey, hook up with me. I want to go, right?
Yeah.
And so all the obstacles are taken out of the way. Great point. I appreciate you bringing that up. So the Lord really just opened the door for you.
Yeah.
I know we use that illustration a lot. Open the door, but He's going to move.
all you have to do is walk through, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Great. And let me jump to the next thought, and that is, Pastor Reyes, I think if I remember in our interview a couple nights ago, you were raised Spanish in the home, English outside the home, right? So you're a true bilingual person in that sense. And I think you grew up in a border town, you said?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
McAllen, Texas.
Okay, McAllen. I've been there. Wow. So you grew up in McAllen. So you've been a part of both cultures probably your whole life, the majority of your life. And now you've done soul winning in Houston, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now you've come to Mexico, and I know you've probably been to Mexico times before.
Yeah.
But you came this time specifically for the purpose of just soul winning for 3 days.
Yes, sir.
So just make a comparison for us. Help others out there understand how receptive it is here when you preach the gospel in Mexico versus, say, when you're in Houston or another location in the United States.
Yeah, I mean, it's like night and day. It's super receptive. As a matter of fact, I think one of the things that we have to guard our hearts with, I mean, I can attest to being guilty of that even today, is that you get so excited that sometimes you're almost in the moment. You don't even know, like your brain just says, let's just get it done. And the reality is we still have to be thorough with the gospel, but the challenge is that you're so excited, you see people walking by, you almost want to move on to the next person. You forget that you're here for that soul. But it's not because of the number, it's because it really is that fruitful. It really is that everybody's ready, no matter who you ask. They'll at least give you the opportunity to preach the gospel. That doesn't mean everybody gets saved, but I mean, you're hitting in the 80s, 90s in percentile when you're talking to the people and you're preaching the gospel, and they're actually either being receptive and you planted that seed well, or they accepted Jesus Christ. You know, they believed on the Lord.
Yes,
you know, and I like it in Spanish because when we say you got to believe, people when you go up in the United States, when you're soul winning, you say believe, they start twisting everything, right? And you get a lot of
definitions that they
but
have.
here, creer, people understand that word. Creer is very simple, it's very specific. So man, we give them the verses that you ask them, ¿qué tienes que hacer para tener vida eterna? Creer. I don't know if you've noticed that, but when you're doing it in English, sometimes they're like, so what do you have to do to believe on, what do you have to do to get eternal life? And they're like, well, be a good person. They still, even though you read believe, it's almost like they gloss over that.
Yeah.
But here, creer, they're like constantly repeating it back to you. So, and it's not, it's just different. It's just more receptive.
They take the word of God at face value.
Yeah.
That's what it says. So, yeah, it's belief. Whereas often in the States, you have a lot of people that you knock their door and they have a lot of different ideas about how you get to heaven. And a lot of times they'll assign those definitions to people. They just listen and maybe illustrate this is what belief is. Yeah, I agree. And it's like they have a great faith. They're willing to just say, well, that's what the Bible says.
Yeah, even now as we're talking, I mean, over there, you got brothers and sisters in Christ soul winning. They're over there, everywhere.
Over there now.
They're sitting there and they're talking to us, and everybody's soul winning all around us. So it's not like they're not goofing around. We have a lot of fun. There's a lot of fellowship, but we're here to work, and that's contagious. Also, it's really encouraging to go back and just bring that energy back to our home churches.
So let me ask you this, Pastor Reyes. If God willing, we plan another trip, and I think that might already be in the works, probably already is, to come back here. Would you say it's something that you'd be motivated to come if you can?
Absolutely.
You should probably share with others, say, hey, you need to consider this, right?
Yeah.
Especially if they have the right gospel and they want to.
One final thing is, it's just I've got a lot of thoughts. People talk about the old IFB or different Baptist churches, and they put up a lot of barriers and excuses. But if you're serving in your church and you can find one where you're getting supported, my church, technically my pastor's not new IFB. He's 82 years old, but he understands the gospel. And the very first thing that I do is I run and buy him, because he is still my leader.
Yes, sir.
And he's been 100% supportive of that. And the other thing is that now all of these churches, like Faithful Word, they get a bad rap about how they're trying to steal sheep, or they're just really negative and cliquish. The reality is, I've got nothing like that, and I just want to make that, because coming from the outside in, it really is encouraging. I came here, everybody's been welcome, very welcoming, and actually I feel like I belong to Faithful Word, even if I've never stepped foot in one of the services, just because of how loving and caring everybody is, and you see the passion passion they have for souls. It really is.
And I appreciate you sharing that. I didn't intend to. I shouldn't say I didn't intend. I didn't bring up that question, but I'm glad you did that topic because that's a great point, isn't it? You know, we ought to be able to fellowship around a clear gospel.
Absolutely.
You know, I mean, it's just needful. If we're going to obey the Great Commission, there comes a point where we got to put aside certain things to get that priority done. Now, I'm not talking about bad doctrine, but I'm saying, like you mentioned, other independent Baptist churches just, you know, beginning a dialogue or a consideration with negativity. I'm like, no, we can't, you know, preach the gospel with them. Why? They're from faith.
Look, if your church has the right gospel, stop making excuses. Si tu iglesia tiene el evangelio correcto y saben que es bíblico, ya no hagan excusas. You know, if you want to just pick on something because you don't like the guy behind the pulpit or the name of the church, you know, you're just making excuses and you're gonna have to deal with that.
It's disobedience.
Yeah, it is.
So hey, even if they don't come with us, plan their own trip.
Do it.
Preach the gospel faithfully at home, and then go over.
I think we could have 3 or 4 different churches here at 3 different times, probably overlapping, and we still wouldn't be done with it. With the harvest is so great in this little town. It's just so great. It's amazing. It really is.
Great.
No, thank you.
Gracias por todo.
I appreciate you. No, gracias a ti.
Por todo.
Alright, so let's do the real tape.
Those are some great thoughts. Yeah. Empezamos otra vez.
Even though he makes the same joke, they're always funny.
It's funny because
No te pise, ¿verdad?
it's funny because he doesn't laugh.
Okay, here. I'll give him 2 questions. Daniel. ¿Le gusta hacer una? ¿No? Sí. ¿Por qué? No, nadie.
Ok, la pregunta era, Cristian, como mexicano, queremos saber cómo fue los tacos anoche a Asadero Leos. Cómo están el sabor y todas esas cosas, porque él es mexicano, él no es de Arizona, entonces él tiene un sabor, una boca de un amigo mexicano que sabe cómo es la comida aquí en el país. So, dinos, Cristian, ¿qué piensas de los tacos de Asadero Leos?
Son muy buenos, pero hay muchos en México que necesitan probar.
Okay.
Pero son de los mejores que he probado.
Muy bien.
Son muy buenos.
So, entonces Asadero Leos está en la lista de Cristian, sí, ¿verdad? Ok.
Pero, ¿tú a dónde a dónde los mandas tú a comer tacos buenos?
Aquí no conozco, pero en Chihuahua hay muchos lugares donde pueden probar nuevos tacos. Al igual en más lugares.
Entonces tenemos que compartir con Pastor Anderson.
Tenemos que orar.
Sí.